Hello, friends. Today we are going to tell you a very interesting and enlightening story from the life of Gautama Buddha. This story is not just about a conversation between a Brahmin and Buddha, but it also has the power to influence the way we think and understand things. This incident took place during the time when Lord Buddha was traveling with his disciples, spreading his teachings and freeing people from ignorance. One day, a learned Brahmin approached Buddha and challenged him. The Brahmin said, "O Gautama, if you can prove that God does not exist, I will immediately become your disciple. But if you fail to do so, you must accept that God exists." Hearing this, everyone present was astonished. Some people thought that now Gautama Buddha would have to provide strong evidence. Otherwise, the Brahmin would declare him defeated. But Buddha was Buddha. He never answered a question directly. Instead, he redirected the question towards deep thinking. Gautama Buddha calmly asked, "O Brahmin, first tell me, have you ever seen God yourself?" The Brahmin replied, "No, but our scriptures say that God exists. Our sages and seers have told us that He is the creator of this universe." Buddha smiled and said, "So, do you believe that something is true just because it is written in the scriptures? Shouldn't we seek the truth for ourselves?" The Brahmin was puzzled and started wondering how he could prove that God truly exists. At that moment, Buddha narrated an insightful story. In a certain town, there were a few blind men. The king brought a huge elephant before them and asked them to describe what an elephant is like by touching it. One blind man touched the elephant's trunk and said, "An elephant is like a thick rope." Another touched its ears and said, "No, an elephant is like a large fan." A third one touched its leg and said, "You are all wrong. An elephant is like a strong pillar." Each blind man was interpreting the truth based on his own limited experience, but none of them could see the whole picture. Buddha continued, "The same applies to the concept of God. Some say God exists, while others say He doesn't. But no one has seen Him directly. That is why we must seek the truth through our own experience rather than blindly accepting beliefs." Buddha then asked, "If God controls this world, then why is there suffering, injustice, and inequality? Would a kind and compassionate God allow His own creations to suffer?" He explained, "This world operates on the law of cause and effect, which I call dependent origination. If someone performs good deeds, they receive good results. If someone commits bad deeds, they suffer the consequences. This is determined by their actions, not by any external God." Buddha then shared another analogy. Imagine a man is struck by a poisoned arrow in the jungle. When people try to take him to a doctor, he stops them and says, "Wait, first, I want to know what kind of wood this arrow is made of, who shot it, and from which direction it came. Now, think." If that man wastes his time on these questions, he will die before getting any treatment. Similarly, why should we waste time debating whether God exists or not when we should be focusing on freeing ourselves from suffering? Buddha's logical reasoning shook the Brahmin to his core. Deeply moved, the Brahmin realized that rather than arguing about the existence of God, the real question should be, how can we solve our own suffering? He said, "O Buddha, I thought you would either deny or accept the existence of God, but instead, you have completely changed my way of thinking." Finally, the Brahmin took refuge in Buddha and decided to follow his teachings. Buddha neither affirmed nor denied the existence of God. Instead, he taught that we should focus on overcoming our suffering and improving our lives. He gave several teachings that remain relevant to humanity in every era. His philosophy can also be seen in the Kalama Sutta, where he said, "Do not believe anything merely because it is written in scriptures or passed down through tradition. Instead, examine it with your own experience and reason." In another incident, a wandering ascetic once asked Buddha, "Does the soul or Brahman exist?" At first, Buddha remained silent, but when the ascetic repeatedly asked the same question, Buddha replied, "Debating the existence of the soul or Brahman does not help us improve our lives. I do not engage in such discussions. Instead, I teach the middle path, which focuses on understanding the cause of suffering and how to eliminate it." Buddha's perspective was that rather than wasting time in endless debates, we should focus on improving our lives. By correcting our actions, we can free ourselves from suffering. That is the real wisdom and what makes life meaningful. Friends, if you like this story, please like and share it. Also, comment below and let us know your thoughts on Buddha's philosophy. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that we can continue bringing you more insightful stories. Thank you.